Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Waiver Wizard column. It is your host and author, Evan Tarchiano. I hope you've been enjoying the column very much this season. I cannot believe that it is coming up on week 13 already. Some interesting names actually to consider this upcoming week. There are players that I think will have long-term ramifications, long-term value in terms of being pickups. This particular week, just two teams on bye, so it's just going to be the Cardinals and the Panthers. So the majority of teams should be at full strength, but starting with the quarterback spot, Mike White of the Jets really started to show off some interesting things to me last week. We've seen this in prior seasons with Mike White. It's kind of a parallel almost to a Taylor Heineke. A couple good weeks in a row, a little bit of a roller coaster ride, and then they will simply switch to a different option instead. I think it actually could stick this time, though, when all things are considered, the surrounding talent that he has at receiver and tight end, even though the running back position is a bit in flux due to some injuries this particular week. I think that Mike White is going to have to come out throwing. The team is going to go against the Minnesota Vikings next week, and that high-powered offense is going to make them catch up, make them throw the ball. So be it Elijah Moore or Garrett Wilson or Corey Davis, I think that Mike White is really the better option for the Jets to go with moving forward. As I mentioned on SiriusXM Radio, I think that the worst of Mike White is better than the best right now of Zach Wilson, who has just been horribly ineffective for this team. Zipping along to the running back spot. Team I wanted to highlight right now is the San Francisco 49ers. Jordan Mason is a really interesting pickup this week. We know that Christian McCaffrey has been dealing with some knee soreness, knee tightness they've been describing it as, and Elijah Mitchell is now dealing with yet another MCL injury. So he will be gone for the next 6 to 8 weeks, essentially the remainder of the fantasy season. Mason is going to inherit that role. I think he could get additional touches this week as McCaffrey tends to work on that ailing knee. Short yardage work, goal line work could go Mason's way, and we know that running backs are very valuable in the San Francisco offense. Zipping over to wide receiver, Zay Jones of the Jacksonville Jaguars showed out last week with a big stat line, 11 catches for 145 yards. I don't necessarily think that that level of production is going to be repeatable moving forward, but the team has been making a concerted effort to get him the ball. He has had double-digit targets in each of the last 2 weeks, so I think that it's definitely a player to consider. And finally, at tight end, it's going to be Josh Oliver is the recommendation that I am getting behind this week. It's a light week in terms of tight ends, as it often is, but whoever ends up being the tight end 2 in Baltimore is a decent streaming option, be it Oliver or Likely. Likely missed last week, and Oliver stepped into the role, and really not much changed. There wasn't that much of a downgrade whatsoever. Andrews is still going to be the featured target there in that offense, but I do think that Oliver, when given that tight end 2 role, can put up double-digit fantasy points per week. So if you happen to be struggling at the position or if you need to have a red zone target, an interesting name to consider.